Hi, Vanessa here and welcome back to my channel. Today we are doing my October library haul, and this is really exciting because I had just moved to California, and when I registered for a library card they told me I was on library probation. And what library probation means is for the first month I was only allowed to borrow 5 books per visit, and for a book lover, restricting myself to 5 titles per visit was really difficult. So last week, I finally passed the month. I was deemed a worthy, trustworthy person to return my books, and now I can borrow up to 50 books. Today, I wanted to share some of the titles that I borrowed, so next time you're at a bookshop or you're online or you're visiting your library, you can have some book inspirations as well. A lot of these titles that I took out were because of my friends on Bookstagram, and you can follow me there as well for VEEREADS _. So what I'm going to do is share the title, read a little bit of the jacket, let you know the Goodreads rating and some of what the Goodreads comments were as well. If you like bookish chats and book quotes and things like that, please subscribe to me. I read about 1 to 2 books a week and I would love to share them with you. So the first book is The Chestnut Man by Søren Sveistrup. And this was recommended to me on Bookstagram because it is thrillerish and it's perfect for October. On Goodreads, it got 4.26 rating, and one Goodreads member, Kim, said that it was, "Whoa, this book was so dark, brutal, gory, fantastic." So that sounds really promising for an October read. And it's actually quite long. It's about 500 pages. And here is the inside of the jacket. If you find one, he's already found you. A psychopath is terrorizing Copenhagen. His calling card is Chestnut Man, a handmade doll of matchsticks and 2 chestnuts, which he leaves at each bloody crime. Examining the dolls, forensics make a shocking discovery: a fingerprint belonging to a young girl, a government minister's daughter who had been kidnapped and murdered a year ago. A tragic coincidence or something more twisted? To save innocent lives, a pair of detectives must put aside their differences to piece together the Chestnut Man's gruesome clues. Because it's clear that the madman is on a mission that is far from over, and no one is safe. So this is definitely going to be part of my October TBR. I am trying to read more thrillers and horror books this October. The next book I picked up shamelessly because of its cover. I was browsing its shelves and the cover caught my eye, and it was A Spark of Light by Jodi, Picoult. And I have read books from this author before. The Storyteller is one of my favorite books by her. And I find that she writes really in depth and brings a lot of emotions and backstory to her characters. She makes us really care for her characters and what they're going through. And so I already know that I have enjoyed a few of her books in the past, and I thought this cover was just so lovely. I love the colors of it, and I like the font. It just really drew my eye. So this book got 3.6 on Goodreads, and Kyle actually said that I found it to be preachy and boring as batshit. Okay, but also there were some good comments by Jennifer, who said, "The book is meant to ignite dialogue about important topics, and the story is second to none." So we do have a bit of a contrast in opinions, and that's what I do love about reading. Not every story is for everyone, but it's just really how it speaks to different readers. So the inside of the jacket says, "The warm fall day starts like any other at the center, a women's reproductive health services clinic, its staff offering care to anyone who passes through its doors. Then, in late morning, a desperate and distraught gunman bursts in and opens fire, taking all inside hostage. After rushing to the scene, Hugh McElroy, a police hostage negotiator, sets up a perimeter and begins making a plan to communicate with the gunman. As his phone vibrates with incoming text messages, he glances at it and to his horror finds out that his 15-year-old daughter, Wren, is inside the clinic. But Wren is not alone. She will share the next intensest few hours of her young life with a cast of unforgettable characters. Whew. So that sounds really high, intense, emotional situation to be in. So it'll be interesting to see how the cover matches the story inside. The next book is Wasted by Randy Susan Myers, and this is a new author find for me. I picked up this novel just based on its title alone. As someone who is all about body positivity, I always interested to read about how authors try to bring body positivity into storytelling. This book got 3.17 on Goodreads, and a comment from Elsie said, "Awful. It's really awful. Boring with cheesy dialogue." Versus Jennifer, who said, "Thoughtful, honest, and dramatic." So this book is about two women, Alice and Daphne, who are both successful and accomplished working mothers. They harbor the same secret. Their obsession with their weight overshadows concern about their children, husbands, work, and everything else of importance in their lives. Scales terrify them. Daphne, plump in a family of model-thin women, learned only slimness earns admiration at her mother's knee. Alice, break-up skinny when she met her husband, risks losing her marriage if she keeps gaining weight. The two women meet at Wasted. The program promises fast, dramatic weight loss, and Alice and Daphne and 5 other women are desperate enough to leave behind their families for this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. The catch? They must always agree to be on camera. Afterward, the world will see Wasted, the documentary. The women soon discover that the filmmakers have trapped them in a cruel experiment. With each pound lost, they edge deeper into obsession and instability until they decide to take matters into their own hands. So this looks like it brings in a lot of elements of reality TV shows that we see nowadays, like I used to watch The Biggest Loser or My 600-Pound Life, and it really explores, I think, women and how they feel about their weight and how society perceives them and what it's like to have or not to have a support group in your inner circle. So although I think this book will be lighthearted, using humor to cut some of its more serious issues, I am interested to see how the story unfolds. The next book I got because I had just finished reading The Unhoneymooners by Christina Lauren, and I really enjoyed that book for its lightheartedness, its flirtatious elements, and just overall really fun writing. So I saw this one, Love and Other Words by Christina Lauren, and this book got 4.23 on Goodreads. One of the Goodreads commentator said, "I loved every single word of this book." That's pretty high praise. And it seems like I've been on a romance binge as of late, but I'm finding that a lot of contemporary romance are just written so well lately, and it's just nice to have some tingles when the weather starts getting colder. So Christina Lauren writes, Macy Sorensen is settling into an ambitious, if emotionally tepid routine. Work hard as new pediatric resident, plan her wedding to an older, financially secure man, keep her head down and heart tucked away. But when she runs into Elliot, the first and only love of her life, the careful bubble she's constructed begins to dissolve. Once upon a time, Elliot was Macy's entire world, growing from her gangly, bookish friend into the man who coaxed her heart open again, only to break it on the very night he declared his love for her. Told in alternating timelines between the now and then teenage Elliot and Macy grow from friends to much more. Spending weekends and lazy summers together in a house outside of San Francisco, devouring books, sharing favorite words, and talking their growing pains and triumphs. As adults, they have become strangers to one another until their chance reunion. So I do like books where they have multiple POVs, alternating timelines, because what we think now is definitely not what we thought before. And it's good to see how emotions and feelings have kind of evolved, simmered down, or if the person that we thought we once loved, we see them in a different light. And it's interesting because this book sounds a little bit more serious than The Unhoneymooners, so I'm interested to see how Christina Lauren writes from a more serious perspective. The next book I got was The First Mistake by Sandie Jones. I had just read The Other Women by Sandie Jones a couple of months ago, and I really liked that as like a psych thriller. So this was my second one that I saw from her. It got a Goodreads rating of 3.85. A Goodreads member, Courtney, said, "I literally figured out the ending by page 40. I'm enraged to write any more review. 2 angry stars." Versus Mary, who said, "This is a 2019 must read. Read it in a couple hours, never putting it down." Well, sometimes I think I could figure out the book early on, and sometimes I'm right, and sometimes I'm completely wrong. With The Other Women, I did not know the ending until the end, so we'll see how this one goes. Okay, The Wife. For Alice, life has never been better. With her second husband, she has a successful business, 2 children, and a beautiful house. Her husband. Alice knows that life could have been different if her first husband had lived, but Nathan's arrival into her life gave her back the happiness she craved. Her best friend. Through the ups and downs of life, from celebratory nights out to comforting each other through loss, Alice knows that her best friend, Beth, by her side, they can survive anything together. So when Nathan starts acting strangely, Alice turns to Beth for help. But soon, Alice begins to wonder whether her trust has been misplaced. The first mistake could be her last. Ooh. So, another one, similarly like where you can't trust where anything is going or what people are saying. It was quite like The Other Women, and she did that really well. So we can see, let's see if she can replicate some of her formula into The First Mistake. Now this month I am doing a buddy read with a fellow booktuber, Designs M Studio, and I will also be doing a vlog as I read them because I think it'd be more fun to kind of share first impressions of scary books. And that is The Pet Sematary by Stephen King. I just recently discovered there are so many multiple covers for this book, and I really like this one. So this book was published in 1983, and Stephen King claims that this is the scariest book he's ever written. So no pressure. Stephen King, like even in the jacket, can Stephen King scare even himself? When Dr. Lewis Creed takes a new job and moves his family to the idyllic rural town of Ludlow, Maine, this new beginning seems too good to be true. Yet, despite Ludlow's tranquility, an undercurrent of danger exists here. Those trucks on the road outside the Creed's beautiful old home travel by just a little too quickly for one thing, as is evidenced by the makeshift Pet Sematary in the nearby woods. Then there are warnings to Lewis, both real and from the depths of his nightmares, that he should not venture beyond the borders of this little graveyard. A blood-chilling truth is hidden there, one more terrifying than death itself and hideously more powerful. An ominous fate falls anyone who dares to tamper with this forbidden place, as Lewis is about to discover himself. As the story unfolds, so does a nightmare of the supernatural, one so relentless you might not want to continue reading, but will be unable to stop. So yes, I definitely need a buddy to read this one, and I'm probably going to do it in bits and pieces so that I can still sleep at night. The next book I borrowed was a recommendation from my bookish friend Louisa, and she has such impeccable taste in books, and it was Maid by Stepanie Land. And Stepanie Land actually writes the story about herself and her journey. At 28, Stepanie Land's plans of breaking free from the roots of her hometown in the Pacific Northwest to chase her dreams of attending university and becoming a writer were cut short when a summer fling turned into an unplanned pregnancy. She turned to housekeeping to make ends meet, and with a tenacious grip on her dream to provide her daughter the very best life possible, Stepanie worked days and took classes online to earn a college degree and began to write relentlessly. She wrote the true stories that weren't being told, the stories of overworked and underpaid Americans, of living on food stamps, and women, infants, and children coupons to eat, of the government programs that provided her housing, but that doubled as halfway houses, the aloof government employees who called her lucky for receiving assistance when she didn't feel lucky at all. She wrote to remember the fight to eventually cut through the deep-rooted stigmas of the working poor. Maid explores the secret underbelly of upper-middle-class Americans and the reality of what it's like to be in service to them. I would become a nameless ghost, Stepanie writes about her relationship with her clients, many of whom do not know her from any other cleaner, but who she learns plenty about. So I think books like this are also important to read. It gives voices to voices that aren't heard often, and I'm looking into learning more about these voices. So I'll come back and share a little bit more about Maid when I finish it. So I am also a little bit embarrassed to say that I haven't read the next book, and I only picked it up because I had heard there was going to be a movie adaptation of it, and my aunt told me it was actually her favorite novel, so how could I not? And it is Little Women by Louisa May Alcott, and this is actually the 150th anniversary edition cover. So this book is really long. It's about almost 500 pages as well. And it's actually, it was originally 2 books, and it got put into one. And this was published in the 1800s. So this might be the oldest book I have ever read. And it follows 4 sisters and just their journey through their childhood and transitioning into womanhood and their stories and their thoughts. So I think this is going to be a fun read, and when I see the movie, I think it'd be good to know more context, and I always like enjoying movies that way because I feel like I know just a little bit more secrets because I read the book. Little Women. And the last 2 books I got, I always try to throw in some self-help, motivating, reflective books into my pile because I like to put them beside my nightstand and just either read them before I sleep or just when I wake up to kind of get me motivated and focused for the day. And the 2 I picked were 5-Second Rule by Mel Robinson and How to Be a Better Person by Kate Hanley. And these are pretty quick reads. They have little tips in them. For example, well, first of all, I really love this cover. And I love that it's like a cute, tiny book that you can bring around with you. And really, this book is written out so it's easily digestible, just little blurbs of positivity. So one of them is master 1 healthy recipe each week for 3 months. Revamping your diet can be a daunting challenge. Yes. So daunting that you don't actually get around to doing it. Rather than making sweeping changes, aim to try out 1 healthy recipe each week. Since you really only need about a dozen recipes to be able to cook most of your meals and not get bored by lack of variety, you'll have a whole new repertoire of healthy homemade meals in just 1 season. So the book has little blurbs like that throughout. just how to improve different areas of your life that you're looking to improve. So I think it's always good to have just a little dose of these books. And the 5-second rule. This is one that I know nothing about, but when I saw it, I always like to have little like tools in my toolbox on how to just, you know, improve my quality of life, improve my own skills. And this one seemed pretty easy to follow, the 5-second rule. And it kind of lets you know that if you're going to do anything, do it in 5 seconds. So basically it's saying if you know you want to achieve something, don't overthink it. Start counting backwards. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. Put it in action and do this enough times and you'll train new patterns and build new habits to just go for the things that you really want to. And then on top of that, I also like that there are quotes in the book. So this one says, there is only one you and there will never be another one. That's your power. So again, I just like keeping these books on my nightstand and reading them quickly as I get up. And I find that really helps me either start my day right or to end my day right. So that is my library book haul. On top of that, I'm also reading on my Kindle and Kobo as well. So I'll have a lot to share with you this October. If you made your way to bookshops and libraries, I would also love to hear what you got as well so I can add it to my November haul. So if you enjoyed this library haul, please give it a thumbs up and hit that like button wherever you guys are. I hope you're having a great day. And as always, I wish you happy reading, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!